Hello everyone, this is Mitchellmander here bringing you another review of the Boruto anime. We'll be covering episode 208 in today's review, and this episode covers the rest of chapter 43, a little bit of chapter 44 from the Boruto manga, and then there's a lot of anime original content in this episode. I'd say about half the episode was manga content, and then half the episode was anime original content, leading into the next couple of episodes, which are anime original episodes. So, how was the episode overall? Well, before I get into that, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It'd be pretty cool if you did that. Alrighty, let's get into the review. The episode starts out where last week's episode ended off with Borushiki emerging and calling Boro an inferior creature. And he just proceeds to just destroy him, and this all basically follows exactly how it happened in the manga. Where Borushiki basically just destroys Boro, takes out his arm, and then blasts him with a huge Rasengan. He also absorbs some chakra from Naruto, who's laying unconscious down on the ground, and then takes him out with a supermassive Rasengan, which is almost as big as the one that Naruto created against Delta. And then, Mobushiki's consciousness fades from Boruto, and Boruto doesn't remember exactly what happened. And the only difference between the manga and the anime here is that Mitsuki's the one that says maybe Karma's more dangerous than we thought, whereas in the manga, Sarada's the one that mentions this. So anyways, it segues to the hospital scene from the beginning of chapter 44. And this scene in the hospital is basically the same as it was in the chapter, though there's a little bit of talk before Naruto wakes up, and apparently he's been in a coma for 2 days. So that's a bit of a change from the manga, where it seems like he woke up almost immediately. So Jigen literally put Naruto in a 2-day coma. That's pretty crazy. But anyways, they're all happy that Naruto woke up, and Boruto goes to tell Kawaki, who's actually being attended by Katasuke and Sumire, and this is basically the same scene as it was done in the chapter. I like how Sumire is trying to give Kawaki a painkiller, and yeah, he completely refuses it, and we'll touch back on this later in the episode. But anyways, Boruto informs Kawaki that Dad's okay, he's awake. So Kawaki goes to see Naruto with Boruto, and this is kind of where things change compared to the anime and the manga. There's pretty much a meeting going on in Naruto's hospital room. Shikamaru, Sasuke, Sai are there. Sarada, Mitsuki are also there as well. And Sakura shows up a little bit later on. But anyways, they have a bit of a meeting here talking about what exactly happened, who they faced off against when they went to that dimension. They faced off against Boro. And Shikamaru over here is rightfully suspicious of Kawaki over here, because he's not exactly relying on any information about some of the car members. He also mentions code here as well. And the thing that's kind of a little, I guess this bothers me a little bit, is that here Kawaki basically mentions code, but he doesn't really know. He says he doesn't really know much about the guy, that he's just really creepy. And Shikamaru is immediately suspicious of this, which this contradicts the manga. And I'm not going to get into spoilers, but yeah, why is Kawaki just not telling everybody enough details? I don't know. I mean, he was the one that mentioned the core to Sarada in last week's episode. And that was probably some vital information that could have been told a little bit earlier on, as I kind of criticized the manga for back when the chapters came out back in 2020. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling on here. But anyways, the main point here is that I'm not really sure why Kawaki is not really saying a whole lot about Kara. I know that he hasn't been told a lot of information, obviously. He doesn't exactly know why he's the vessel. But yeah, so yeah, this meeting happens. It didn't happen in the manga, but I do appreciate the anime adding this scene in, though. And in the next scene, it's very different from the manga, but a lot of the dialogue here is the same from the manga, where Sasuke's in the hospital room for Sarada, and Mitsuki's there, and they're talking about Boruto and his transformation. This is very similar to how it was done in the manga, but Sakura isn't present. And not only that, in the manga, Mitsuki takes Sasuke up to the roof to talk about Boruto and his condition. They've all come to the conclusion that Jigen is an Otsutsuki, and that Sasuke realizes that Jigen is a vessel himself. So they've kind of put the pieces together that Momoshiki is trying to revive himself in Boruto. But besides Mitsuki talking to Sasuke alone about those details, yeah, this scene the dialogue is very similar to how it went in the manga. Just that Sakura wasn't here in this scene specifically. So for pretty much the rest of the episode, it's anime original content, but it's good content in my opinion. because it adds to a lot of the characters here. So Kawaki and Boruto are sitting on a bench in the hospital just having a conversation about what exactly happened to Boruto after he got pummeled by Boro. He basically almost turned into another person. His karma spread all over his body, and he grew a horn. And not only that, Boruto, I also grew a horn as well. Because when Jigen showed up in the village, yeah, I grew a horn as well. And I like that Kawaki did this because he didn't mention it in the manga. Like, after that happened, it's almost like he didn't realize that happened, or he grew a horn. So I like the fact that he acknowledged it here, so that's pretty good on the anime's part, in my opinion. The next scene was pretty nice as well, with Shikadai and Inojin bringing some takoyaki to Boruto and Kawaki to eat. And if you remember from a couple episodes back, when Sarada was actually recommending some custard to Kawaki, he decided not to take her recommendation, but he decided to do it here, which shows that Kawaki is growing and learning to trust those in Konoha. And he ends up actually loving it. Like, this guy was so deprived of his childhood of actually eating some good food that, like, this type of stuff, it just, like, when he eats it, he's just so shocked at how good the food is. I don't know, I just think it's funny every time Kawaki tries some good food, he just freaks out and calls it freaking delicious. But anyways, they play some shinobi card game, and then Sumire shows up and tells Kawaki to go back to bed because he's still in the hospital, and sends Boruto and the others off, which I thought was pretty funny. Boruto was quite annoyed by this. But anyways, I like the scene here where Sumire and Kawaki have a conversation where he asks her why they call her the class rep. And even though it's been a little while since they've been out of the academy, they still do that, and she still likes it. She still appreciates that. And at this point, Kawaki actually, learning to trust those around him in Konoha, actually accepts the painkiller shot that Sumire was going to give him earlier, which shows some development on Kawaki's part, showing that he's trusting everybody in the village more and more. Though, when he goes to visit Naruto, yeah, Shikamaru is definitely not trusting of him, and he overhears the conversation he has with Naruto, in which Shikamaru is basically chastising him for being too naive, and that Kawaki is, still not trustworthy, which definitely does have a little bit of an effect on Kawaki. The episode ends off with Kawaki thinking about those that have come into his life, like Hinata, Himawari, some friends like Sarada, Chocho, Inojin, Shikadai, and of course Boruto himself. People that he's grown to trust over time. And we have Boruto also at the same time at home, looking at his karma seal. And that's where the episode pretty much ends. So, I thought this was a good episode overall. I'm slightly disappointed in the fact that the episode is titled Momoshiki's Manifestation, and we only see that manifestation for like 2 minutes. It's at the beginning of the episode before the opening credits, and that's it. We move on to the hospital scene. And that pretty much takes up the rest of the episode. In my opinion, they should have added some extra scenes here, maybe some extra action to expand the fight. I was expecting an expansion to the Boro fight, and I'm not really sure why they did that. It looked really nice too, but it basically just went, it really went really fast. It really shows why this series, it can't exactly just follow the manga 100%, because we definitely run out of material like so fast, because this whole scene in the manga, that was like half a chapter, or like close to half a chapter, and they wrapped it up in like 2 minutes. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, it is kind of disappointing, because I was actually looking forward to this episode being like maybe like half the episode being Borushiki versus Boro, and then he destroys them, and then they escape the dimension, and then head back, and then the rest of the episode's in the hospital. But no, we only got like 2 minutes of it, so yeah, that is pretty disappointing. But I will say for the rest of the episode, the content was really good, and it added a lot of stuff that the manga was missing. Like, I like the fact that everyone was there present in Naruto's room to kind of hear out, about Kara and about Jigen being possibly an Otsutsuki member, and then what details that Kawaki knows about Kara. I think this is all pretty vital information, and I also like the fact that the episode is showing Kawaki trusting Konoha and its people more and more as time is going on. We see in the beginning, he was very untrustworthy. He didn't trust anybody. But now, as time has gone on and he's growing to trust these people, he's slowly warming up to everybody. Like, at the beginning of the episode, he didn't want to get the painkiller from Sumire. He refused it. But at the end of the episode, yeah, he was actually accepting it. So that's pretty nice. It shows development on Kawaki's part, which Kawaki is definitely the best character, or like the best character among the new generation, I'd say. And more content with him is just great. Now for Boro, I was actually expecting more from him in this episode. Obviously, the scene with him getting destroyed by Borushiki didn't last very long in this episode, but I expected more dialogue from him because this guy is a cult leader that worships the Otsutsuki members. And he was talking about Momoshiki a couple episodes ago about how the 5 great nations murdered him and Kinshiki and Kaguya. And here he realizes that, Momoshiki is manifesting himself within Boruto. An incomplete vessel is at least what he thought from what Kashin Koji told him, but I was expecting more information or like more dialogue from Boro here. Like talk about, hey, why are you trying to kill me? I'm a worshiper of the Otsutsuki members. I worship you guys. Why are you forsaking me? And he does try to strike Momoshiki too, so it does kind of contradict himself a little bit because he worships the gods, but he did kind of try to attack God here. So not really sure why you tried to do that, Boro, but I was expecting more dialogue from him in this episode. Overall, I think Boro was done better in the anime compared to the manga, which he had, like, no character whatsoever until just recently when we find out, oh, he has a cult. Cool. Probably could have elaborated on a little bit more on that in the manga. But at least the anime did Boro some justice. I just wish he had more dialogue here before he was killed off. So that's all I got for this episode review. So overall, this was a good episode, not great, but a fairly good episode. The content within it was pretty good. It's just that I wish that the Boro versus Borushiki fight was expanded a bit more. There was more dialogue there. And the episode's called Momoshiki's Manifestation, and he only manifests for like 2 minutes, and then the rest of the episode, they mention it here and there, but it's irrelevant pretty much for the rest of the episode. So that was a bit disappointing, but still, the content within it was still pretty good for the most part. So I'm going to give this episode a solid 7.5 out of 10. So guys in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. What do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you thought. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys later.